Hey, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Ryan, and we're here to talk to you guys about the deadlift. The deadlift's important because it's a basic barbell lift that it has a place in pretty much any routine because of the functionality of the movement, right? It's essentially just picking something up off the ground with good technique, and that's something that everybody could benefit from learning. It'll keep you injury-free, especially as you get older and go through life. It's just a good basic functional movement to know how to do correctly.
So the deadlift's important, especially in sports and athletic movements, as it's a good measure of overall total body strength and helps develop hip extension, which is important in explosive movements in all kinds of sports.
Alright, now we're going to have Tyler, who's behind the camera right now, get on the platform and go ahead and demonstrate proper mechanics in the deadlift, and we're going to get down to some of the finer points of the lift to make sure that you guys can perform it correctly.
Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about in the deadlift is the stance. What you're looking at here is Tyler has taken a stance that's a little bit too wide. This is a common error you'll see with people when they're trying to deadlift. Instead, you should bring those feet in a little bit closer and keep them underneath the hips. You want to think about your feet being in a place where you would use them for some kind of like a vertical jump. So a little bit closer together and underneath the hips. So I'll go ahead and have Tyler put his feet in the proper position now. And there you go. That's about what you want it to look like when you're getting ready to deadlift. Alright, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the grip. Now the deadlift is a fantastic lift for developing grip strength. If you really want to work on grip strength more, a double overhand grip like you're seeing Tyler demonstrate here is optimal. That's going to be, the most challenging for your grip. However, when the weights get a little heavier, it can be beneficial to pronate one hand, and that's going to allow you to lift a little bit heavier loads without grip being the limiting factor. Another thing you could do is use chalk. I highly recommend that if you're having difficulty holding onto the bar. Or you could also resort to the use of straps, lifting straps that can allow you to lift more by assisting your grip. I'm not particularly a big fan of those because they limit grip development from the deadlift. Alright, now we're going to talk about maintaining the lumbar curve as you deadlift. Now here Tyler is set up for a deadlift in a terrible position. He's got a very rounded spine, as you can see, and lifting this way is just asking for some kind of back injury. So what I'm going to do now is cue Tyler into the proper position, having him extend his spine and drop his hips a little bit so he can get into a more biomechanically correct and much safer position. Now this is a much better position Tyler's put his spine in. This is what your deadlift setup should look like. Alright, now let's talk about performing the deadlift. Take a moment here and observe Tyler's setup position. He's putting into effect all the things we've just discussed. His stance width is where it should be, he's got a nice grip on the bar, and if you look at his lower back, he's got that lumbar curve enforced. Alright, now he's going to go ahead and lift here in a moment. And as he does, you'll notice the bar stays nice and close to his body, and he maintains that flat back posture the entire time. That's the way you want to lift the bar. Keeping it close to the body ensures a nice straight bar path, and that's what you want. It's going to make the lift easier to do, and it's going to be safer. Now, I paused him here at the top so you can look at his lockout position. He's got a big chest, and his hips are wide open. He's not hunched over at all. He's standing up tall with the weight. This is how your deadlift should end. Alright, now I'm going to have Tyler begin lifting again in just a second, and when he does, I'd like you to notice that between repetitions, he's not bouncing the bar off of the platform. He's letting it rest for just a moment and taking the weight off of himself before he begins his next rep. That's very important for safety reasons. Alright, now that you're familiar with the deadlift and have a basic understanding of how to perform it, I'm going to talk about how to incorporate the deadlift into a weight training program. The important thing to remember here is that for a novice weight trainee, the deadlift can be very taxing for the central nervous system, so it's easy to overtrain it. For this reason, I recommend only performing one work set of 5 reps one time per week. So in effect, here's what this might look like. On week 1, you'd start with a series of warm-up sets that are light and ascending in weight to bridge the gap between basically no weight on the bar and then your work set. For instance, in this situation, the lifter would work up to 135 times 5. And then the following week, you just simply add 10 pounds to that work set and adjust your warm-ups accordingly to bridge the gap. So here we've got our warm-up sets the following week for week 2 and our work set at 145 pounds. Now you can continue to make progress this way, so on and so forth, adding 10 pounds to that work set each week for quite some time if you're a novice trainee. And this is the best way to progress with the deadlift in the beginning phases of one's training.
Well guys, that's our brief educational video on the deadlift. Hope it's helpful and good luck.